Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sequoia Project Podcast, the podcast dedicated to talk about the ins, outs, ups, and downs of business. My name is Coby, and I'm joined here by my co-host, Dale. Say hi, Dale.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, we're on episode 33.
Yeah, all right. I like it.
Ooh,
Wow.
break a leg out
33.
there.
Everyone break a leg. Good job. Good work, everyone. Good luck.
We're going to be, speaking of breaking a leg, we're going to be talking about sacrifices that you have to make in business.
Yes, absolutely. The sacrifices to get what you want. And most of the time, you will have to break a leg. You're going to have to break your own legs if you want to be successful.
Some people break their back.
Yes, some of them will. Some very, very stupid people will do that. But hopefully, if you're listening to this, you won't have to do that because that's what I did. So
Dale broke his back so you don't have to.
Exactly. I did. I broke my back so that you can learn how to run a business without doing that. And that I would really highly suggest that. The premise for this episode is I get like a ton of customers that they talk to me all the time, but a lot of people say, I have this specific goal, but I don't want to give up these specific things to achieve the goal. And the most recent one, which was why we decided to do this episode of the podcast, was I had a customer that said to me, I want to take my business from $400,000 a year to $1 million, but I don't want to spend any more time on the business than I'm doing right now. And he was like, I still want 50-50 life balance, and I want to more than double my business, but I still want 50-50 life balance. And like, to me, it's just like, it's unreasonable to try and do something like in such a short time span, especially like when you're talking double, like if you were going to talk about anything else, like if you were going to be like, oh, I want to, be a better race car driver, I want to lift twice as much as I want to squat twice as much as I squat now. Like, to expect that in a short period of time and do no more work is like impossible.
No, it's like literally all about the time and the repetition in it.
Yeah. So what we do is like, what we tend to do in business is go, oh, I just want to achieve this in this time frame, and that should be doable, but I don't want to do anything differently than I'm doing now. So that's I think we'll talk about a little bit of just our experience with like sacrifice and time frames. Like if anyone said to me, I want to build $1 million a year business in 10 years, I'd be like, absolutely, you should do that. That's great. And even if they said I don't want to go over 50-50 life balance, I'd be like, 100% achievable in 10 years. Of course. Like, you could make, if you stayed in the same career and spent every day being as good as you could be, you'd probably be on a $500,000 a year salary. Yeah. Anyway, if you did it for a decade, so like you can do it even through employment, you can get pretty close to there. But everyone wants to do everything in 6 months. Everyone wants to do it in a year, and there's no problem having big goals, but having big goals and understanding the sacrifice are very different. If you said, I want to go from 400,000 to $1 million a year, and I'll work 24 hours a day until it happens, I'd be like, okay,
now
sure. Yeah, but if you want to go to the beach for 10 hours a day and sleep for 4 hours a day and have a relationship and do all that kind of stuff and work for 6 to 8 hours a day, it's probably just not going to happen. So I think we'll jump into our experiences. Let's start with you, Cobes. Sacrifice. Let's talk about a point in time where you've had to sacrifice something and how long you had to sacrifice it for to achieve something in a time frame that you were I want this to happen quickly. Yeah.
I think it's actually really interesting because probably when I came to you, I was like that naive kid that was like, I want to achieve this in 6 months and have all this going on. And now I'm in my third year of business and have achieved somewhat what I wanted to achieve. But like now actually understanding that everything takes that kind of sacrifice is such a different journey. Like the most recent thing that we had was the past 2-3 months, we've been working out like absolute arse off. Actually, just since probably the start of this year in general. On just so many systems and everything like that. We've been putting money, time, everything into CE Media. And now in the 5th month, we're seeing like all of that return so quick and having like pretty much the biggest month that we've had in business. And it actually took a lot of time and patience. Patience was like a big thing, which I don't have a lot of. So it was always something that was so difficult to me to be like, I want this to be like to happen by this time, but like not want to sacrifice it. So like I think I've come to terms with the fact that I have to sacrifice so much for it to actually grow. And then, it just ended up sacrificing a shit ton of time and not a lot of money, but a bit of money and everything like that to get to where it is. So it's one of those things, like you can't do it one without the other.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, even like with your experience, like we put in a lot of work, early in the year, and then even ramped that work up to probably a level that is unsustainable.
Oh,
But we were
absolutely.
doing so much work, and we kind of had like a 2-month or 3-month period where we were like, all right, we're willing to put in this much work for this
Yeah.
kind of return. And like, the investments and things like that you put in terms of time, like now getting the return, it makes the sacrifice worth it.
Oh,
But
100%.
I think where people don't see is they go, well, I know that this is going to cost this, but I haven't seen the return yet, so I'm not willing to invest,
Yeah, it's
And
actually waiting to see that return. That's the big thing.
that's the thing that separates, businesses getting where they want and people in general getting where they want and not, and understanding I'm not going to get immediate gratification for this.
Mm,
So I'm going to put the time in. It's going to look like it's not working. It's going to feel like it's not working. I'm not going to see the money in my bank account, but I know that in 3 months' time, that could or should happen, and be willing to wait that 3 months. Whereas
yeah.
most people won't start because they'll be like, oh, I don't know if I want to wait 3 months for that.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and like, the payoffs are so huge on the other side of that. I mean, like you could do what you would normally do in a month, in a day, if you were willing to go, all right, well, I'll put in a shit ton of work for 6 months and I'll forgo all of those big paychecks and, all those little, instant gratification things. I'll put that work in for 6 months. And then at the end of that 6 months, I'll get a 10 times payout.
Yeah.
But that's the gap. People look at it and they go, I don't want to wait 6 months. So
Yeah. I think it's so funny that people won't want to do the thing that's going to take that 3 months, and they'll put it off for the 3 months, and then 3 months later they'll realize that they'll have to do it. And it's like, you should have just done it 3 months earlier and you'd be here now.
Yeah, 100%. And that's really like the thing. Like we've even talked about this. I think we did a whole segment on the podcast about it, which is like the lies that we tell ourselves to stop us from having to do the hard thing. And that's exactly it. Like there is nothing. Like if you want to be great at anything, if you want to be good at anything, like say you want to start playing basketball, it's going to take 10,000 shots to be good at
Yeah,
shooting.
exactly.
The longer you don't take 10,000 shots, the longer you stay bad. And that's the kind of thing. And you won't, the game the game winning shot might not come around for 3 years, but if you've done the 10,000 shots, you'll be ready for it when it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
100%.
the rest of your career, you'll be like, oh, remember when I hit that game winner against, so-and-so for the championship? But that was because you did the thing years ago. That matters. So
I learned that the hard way.
Same thing. Yeah.
Especially when we switched to doing a lot of the ad stuff and everything. And then you're like, look, if you had just spent that 6 months just focusing on the photography side, you'd be exactly where you want to be 6 months earlier.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck yeah. But now, all the knowledge that I have, we use on the paid ads and everything like that. So it kind of helped out.
Yeah. And that was kind of not so much even a mistake, because I knew at that time, you weren't wasting the time. You were learning another skill. It wasn't a skill directly related to the skill that you sell, but it was a skill that supports the business. So it was never a lose-lose situation.
No.
But it was a lesson that I had to learn, and sometimes you just have to learn it the hard way, where you go, oh, here's a thing that I could probably make some money in, and it's a really good exercise, bro. In the only reason I'll tell you this, and I'll tell everyone this: there is no business that exists that doesn't suck ass. It's there are parts of every business that fucking suck.
100%.
And there's a really good saying that the only reason the grass is green on the other side is because it's full of shit.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's kind of where it's at, is any business that you take on, there'll be hard times, there'll be things you don't know how to do. But what we tell ourselves is, oh, in that business it'll be so much easier. But that's only because you don't know about that business.
No, you
know
see the
about
outside.
yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know about yours, so you know about all the things that suck. But this new business you don't know about, so you don't know all the things that suck. Yeah, and that's really the thing, is when you learn that lesson, and everyone has to learn that lesson. I had to learn it as well. When you go, oh shit, I could have put the effort in the thing I already knew how to do and made it twice as good, and by now I'd be standing here with a championship cup or trophy or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you got to learn that, especially
I
when
think
you
about it so much. I think, oh my fuck, I should just because I fought back on you so hard with them. Like, nah, this is what I want to do. Here's this idea. And you're like, look, you're going to have to sacrifice a shit ton to do it. Like, I remember the idea was pretty much like, if it worked out, it would have been insane and insanely passive. But you're like, this is a really high risk, really high reward. Like, you need to understand everything that comes in. I'm like, nah, Dale, it's fucking fine. Chill. I've been in business 2 years. I know what I'm doing. Shut up.
Yeah, I know what I'm doing, dickhead. Chill out.
Yeah.
You haven't done this before.
Pretty much. And then afterwards, like, Dale, got no money. Everything went wrong, actually. So should have listened to you the first time. You're like, oh, easy. Just do what you know, and then bang, straight back up.
Yeah, but it is one of those things that, like, you know, the longer you do something, the better you get at it, the easier it gets. And like, we jump on these podcasts now, and even after just 3 years in business, I can be like, hey, here's a topic, and you just, but yeah, great, I've got so much experience in that, I can talk on that topic straight away. And that's what it's really about. You know, if someone called your phone right now, even if we were rolling, someone called your phone and said, hey, I want your $4,000 package, you could just be like, great, here's everything you need to know. Here's how it works. And it would just be like, easy. Because you've done it a million times. But if you keep flipping between products and services and all that kind of stuff, you have to learn that all over again. And there's not enough time to be great at it. You might get good at some stuff, but to be great at it is one of those things you take the 10,000 shots, Yeah,
100%.
Yeah. I would say my experience in that has like basically been over like the last 7 years. It's just been a like total roller coaster of like waves of like, and that's kind of what being in business is things go insanely well, and then there's other times where things are just completely shit, and then they go insanely well, and it's like, as long as the average of that is on the uptrend, then you're working. So I don't look so much at the top and the bottom. I look at the middle, and as long as the middle is constantly increasing, I'm like, cool. Then I'll have more good days than I have shit days.
Yeah,
and the aim is to get that number as high as possible. But yeah, for me, like the sacrifice, especially at the start of the business, like I knew what I wanted to achieve, and I was so keen at that point to be running my own business, like just in any capacity. I just wanted to do it for myself, that I was like, whatever it takes. Like that was my whole sacrifice. I was like, whatever it takes. If it takes 20-hour days, great. If it takes, manual labor, great. If it takes answering every phone call, great. And I was like, that was such a privilege to me. So my whole thing was like the sacrifice, there was no limit on the sacrifice. And people would say to me all the time, like, dude, you have to stop and you have to have some fun and you have to do like, go out with your friends and you have to do all this kind of stuff. And I'd be like, well, you're going to burn out. And I'd be like, dude, I really don't care if I burn out. Like that was fun to me. So I just sacrificed like everything, like whatever had to be sacrificed was sacrificial, and that's as good as it got. And the things that still mattered to me, I put time and energy into enough to make sure that they still flourished. But the comparison was out of control. It was like 95% business, 5% everything else in my life.
Yeah.
I just tried to do that 5% as good as I could, so that the people in my life were like, oh, he still cares about me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, when I said to myself, like one of my first financial goals, like my first goal was just to get a customer, someone give me a shot. And then I had some customers, I learned a bit about business, and I was like, all right, cool. I want to have $100,000 like in my bank account that I can spend, and like that, the bills are already paid and everything. Like I could go and find a thing I wanted and spend it. And I was like, the sacrifice, even just to get there, I was just like, okay, I've never experienced that in my life. And I was 24 at the time, 25 at the time.
I got a year.
So yeah, so you're good to go. But I'd never experienced that before. So then I was like, what would I be willing to sacrifice to experience that just once in my life? And I was like, I'll sacrifice a year. Yeah, like I'll put the work in for a year. That's no problem at all. Just to experience that one time. And then no matter what happens for the rest of my life, I'll always know for a fact I had that. I achieved that. So yeah, the next year was just like every day, get up, go to work, come home, go to sleep, get up, go to work, just because it was worth it. It was absolutely worth it. So I would say at any point where I've set a goal that I've in my own mind have gone, this is something I absolutely want to experience in my life, the sacrifice is whatever it costs.
Yeah, I think what you sacrifice is like directly on how much you value the thing that you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like if there's something that you want it bad enough, you're willing to sacrifice everything. Like I mean, I'm in my early 20s and I've put so much of my early 20s towards fucking building this business and everything. And I haven't said to, like, which is so interesting with business, I said to a couple of people the other day, I'm like, I love so much of the feeling of not knowing what the fuck's going on in my life. Like of just you're not knowing what's going on. Like laying in bed the other day, booked a call. I'm staying out by a beach with customer paying for it because that's where their wedding is. I was like, I didn't know that I was going to do that until literally 5 seconds before it was booked. Like it's fucking crazy. And I love that. I love the feeling that like you have to work for what you're about to get. And like I don't pay myself a lot when it comes to it. A lot of it just stays in the business account and everything. But knowing that like you have to work towards getting that, and that's what's going on. Like everything's just on hard mode. I love it. It's like constant fight or flight, like adrenaline, and just like everything feels so great once you achieve it, and knowing that you're the one that's achieving everything. It's such a weird feeling, and I don't know how to explain it to anyone else that like just works like a regular 9 to 5 or anything like that. That I can wake up at like fucking 10 o'clock and then go to sleep whenever I want, and still do all this sort of stuff that needs to be done, and that like everything is dependent on me. That if I'm not doing something, something's not going to happen. It's so weird. But then, you're sacrificing that sense of security and everything for that feeling of adrenaline and highs and all the lows and
100%.
Yeah, so good.
It's honestly, it's forever been my favorite part, like personally, of business. Like there's been other cool things, like being able to have a team and employees and stuff, and give them an environment they like going to work. They've been cool things, but like the really cool thing for me is that at every point, it's like this only happens is because I brought it into the world. Yeah. Like if I didn't do anything, none of this would have happened. And the reason these people go to work and love their job and all that is because I built that thing.
Yeah. 100%.
So it's like almost like falling in love with the possibility of what the work can create. Like when you do something, and I never talk badly about people who work employment and everything. No. If I found a perfect job, I would have stayed 100%. There forever. Never would have done this. But yeah, it's about falling in love with the possibility. When I worked a job, there was never a chance someone just walk into the room and be like, "I'm like $100,000." Like that was never a possibility. And then through building businesses, you get a customer that wants to do a full house renovation, and they'll just be like, "Oh, I'll spend $800,000 with you," and it's like that would never happen.
Okay,
like that possibility, that chance would never happen. So. You put in all those hard work, 7 years of hard work, building a brand, building a reputation, stuff like that. And then someone's just like, you're the guy that I want to give this much money to. And it's just like, that's really fun because it's like, imagine a life. Like if you are working a job and you're thinking about starting a business, or you started a business and you're like, oh, it's a lot of work. Just like close your eyes for a minute and imagine a life where someone will just walk into your life and just be like, I'll give you a contract. It's $1 million a year contract.
Yeah.
That's what's possible when you're in this environment.
So
and that's
weird.
A lot of fun. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I think it's also just like super interesting that like everything is taking chances. I mean, I was probably 19 when I saw you just post this fucking random message on Facebook. I was like, like I'll give up everything to trust this random dude that he knows what he's doing when it comes to business. And then fucking did. And now here we are. You're just like, you would constantly tell me, you're like, look, if you want this, like, you're going to have to accept the fact that maybe you're not going out. You're going to have to accept the fact that maybe you're not going to go do this. You have to fucking... And I did. And here we are. But you're just some random fucking guy that I met from one post. And it's just like, the amount that it's grown is just, it baffles me to this day.
Yeah, no, it's insane. And again, that's the possibility that I fell in love with. It's just like, cool. If I build something and I understand how it works, I can just go on Facebook and say, hey, if anyone needs help, let me know. And these kinds of things can happen. And like, I bring that possibility into your world where you go, I'm just some 19-year-old kid that just happened to see this post on Facebook.
Yeah.
This is fun. Life is fun because things like this can just happen. Yeah. So I think, it's really cool. Business as a vehicle is awesome for that because it's just what could be possible tomorrow. I'll do the hard work today because what could be possible tomorrow.
Yeah. And again, it comes back to what you're willing to sacrifice and how much you value what you're actually working towards.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's probably a good point there to break down like, okay, so if you want to achieve an insane goal, like if you want to go, cool, I want to go from 400 to $1 million a year in a year, understand that year is going to take more sacrifice than you think it will. Like, so if you go, cool, I want to more than double my business, you're going to have to work a lot harder for that year. Things will look a lot better after that year. Like you'll be able to slow down once you've achieved your goal or got close to your goal. You have more money so you can buy better talent or, whatever it is, better tools. So that it'll slow down after that. But understand if you're going to set a short timeline, I think that maybe the title of this should be like how to achieve your goals without working hard. Because if you don't want to work as hard, put a longer timeline on your goals. That's all you have to do. Instead of going, I want $1 million in a year, go, I want $1 million in 10 years. And you don't have to work anywhere near as hard, but you just have to do it for longer. So I think that's probably a good summary of that, which is understand if you want to do things quickly, you will need to sacrifice more for that time frame. And if you want to work less, if you want more balance, just don't expect as much in such a short amount of time. Extend the thing by 10 years and then go, cool, I can work 5 hours a day on this for 10 years. Yeah, you'll absolutely achieve your goals.
Yeah. 100%.
There you go.
Well,
and then that'll get people to click on the video and they'll go, how to achieve your goals without working hard. And then they'll get to the end of it and be like, oh, fuck, I'm just going to wait 10 years.
They will still tell them you have to work hard, just in a different way.
Yeah, in a different way. Did I tell you that story? Oh, sorry, bro. Go.
Oh, I was just going to say, it's like you always say, there's always fucking, got to sacrifice time, money, or energy. Like,
yeah, it's one or sometimes two of those things.
Yeah.
Depending
you always
on what you're doing.
So, something. I'm interested in your story now, though.
Well, if you want to save energy, you have to sacrifice more time.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. So yeah, perfect. So the story was, I don't know if I told you this. I hope I did because it was a really cool lesson. So I met a guy when I was traveling, who was very good at marketing and tech was his deal. And he had a business partner, and the whole thing like fell through and turned to shit. And he went out and the business partner basically took the whole business away from him. And he couldn't get back in. He was in hospital for 12 months with some weird like degenerative disease. And then the business partner and him had an agreement that they had to put in equal amount of work. Now, obviously he's in hospital. So the business partner used that as like, he's not putting in as much work, I'll take the business kind of deal. So weird agreement. Anyway, that's how it works. So he got screwed out of his money, had basically nothing left, had to start from scratch. He goes out and builds this this kind of marketing engine right on the cusp of AI, when AI comes out, and NordVPN buys the whole thing from him for $100 million.
Shit.
So
okay.
He sells the whole thing, and he goes to me, and like we check in like once a month or something like that. And I had a chat to him, and I said, "How's everything going, man?" And he said, "Yeah, you know what? Everything's turned around. It's all come good." And he worked for like 2 years on this thing for free. Like he was playing, he was doing like working a normal job and building this thing on the side for 2 years just so he could have paid to run this thing. And 2 years with all sacrifice, no payoff. And then he presents it to Nord buy it, $100 million in the bank. He's back up on top.
Yeah.
And I said, mate, what's that? What's the plan now? Like that's such a good payoff for the hard work that you put in. I'm glad you got the payoff. And he goes, you want my entire investment strategy? And I said, yeah, go for it. And he said, I'm going to take 20 million for myself. And he said, and the other 80 million, I'm going to go to a city center. Yeah, I'm going straight to the casino. And he said, the other 80 million, I'm going to look for any city on earth that has been growing by over 10% per year for the last 10 years. And he said, and I'm going to go into the city and I'm going to look for any vacant lot that hasn't been purchased. I'm going to buy it and then I'm going to wait 20 years. That was his entire strategy.
Yeah, right.
And it's that sacrifice of just being like, cool, I know these places are growing. They've been growing for the last 10 years. They'll probably grow for the next 20 years. I'll buy the dirt and then I'll just be patient. I'll sacrifice the next 20 years of not making any money and I'll sell them all when I'm old and gross. And I was like, that's a perfect thing of like, yeah, sacrifice today for tomorrow and off you go. So his whole thing was, I don't want to work hard anymore. I'll just be patient.
Yeah. I mean, he's got 20 million to himself too. So like,
no, he's not struggling. Don't feel sorry for him. Don't feel sorry for him. But his whole thing was like, cool, I've worked really hard up until this point. I'm tired. I don't want to do it anymore. So now I'll let the money work instead of spending the time and the energy. I'll let the money work, and I'll just be patient. So instead of setting, I want to make 120 million next year, and going, oh, grind, got to get back into it. He just goes, cool, I'll take a $20 million return, or maybe a $50 million return over the next 20 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's his whole thing. So very good lesson in being able to strategically sacrifice and go, cool, I don't want to spend time and energy anymore. I'm just going to be patient. Yeah. So there you go. That's a little thing. And if you are impatient and you want to learn more about your business and get things happening sooner rather than later, drop us a comment hit the like button, DM us, go to the link, do whatever, talk to us, and we'll get you to where you need to be as
Come
quickly
join
as
the
possible.
Facebook group.
Yeah, we're on Facebook now. Well, yeah, but we will be by the time this goes up. We'll have a Facebook group live, and then you can post your questions, do all that kind of stuff in there, and we'll help you out.
Talk to Dale himself, the bag chips of people.
The bag chips of if you watched last episode, this close was way better than the last one. I wasn't myself. I was hungry last week. Yeah, but I've had a Snickers, and now I did a better close this
week. Not you when you're hungry.
All good, guys. Thank you very much for listening. Anything else you want to add? I just went straight into a close.
Yeah, you just decided that was the end. No, I had nothing else.
Yeah. All good, guys. Thank you very much for listening. We will see you in the next one.
Cheers.